Welcome to Celestial Zodiac. This is your weekly horoscope for Sunday, May 3rd to Saturday, May 9th, 2026. This week deepens the Taurus energy we've been moving into, but now it becomes more personal, more real, and in some ways more challenging. What started as a shift towards stability is now turning into a test of commitment. It's one thing to say you want security, consistency, or something long-term, but this week asks, are you actually willing to build it? There's a strong focus on values, priorities, and what you're willing to invest your time and energy into. The pace may feel slower on the surface, but underneath things are solidifying. Decisions made now aren't fleeting, they have weight and they have staying power. At the same time, there can be tension between comfort and growth. Taurus energy wants stability, but not all comfort zones are meant to be maintained. Some are meant to be outgrown. Emotionally, this week may bring moments of resistance, especially if something requires effort, patience, or a level of discipline that doesn't feel natural. You may find yourself questioning whether something is worth it, whether it's sustainable, or whether you're putting your energy in the right place. These are important questions, and the answers won't come from rushing. They come from staying present and paying attention to what's actually working. This is a week of commitment, but not in a heavy or restrictive way, in a grounded, intentional way. You're being asked to choose what matters and then back it up with consistent action. Not everything needs to move quickly right now. In fact, the slower pace is what allows something real to take shape. By the end of the week, there's a sense of clarity that comes from effort. You begin to see what's worth building, what's not, and where your energy is best invested moving forward. This isn't about instant results. It's about long-term direction. And what you choose now has the potential to grow into something meaningful, stable, and lasting. Aries. This week shifts your focus away from pure momentum and into something more practical and grounded, especially around your values, finances, and sense of self-worth. After a period where you've likely been pushing forward or redefining your identity, the question now becomes, what are you actually building from all of this? Early in the week, you may feel a bit of friction as the pace slows down. You're used to movement, but now you're being asked to be intentional with your energy. This can show up as decisions around money, time, or even how much effort something is truly worth. Midweek brings clarity, particularly around what is sustainable versus what is draining you. You may realize that not everything deserves your full effort, and that's okay. There's also an opportunity here to start creating more stability, whether that's financially or emotionally. By the weekend, you feel more grounded and more in control of your direction. This is about turning your drive into something that lasts, rather than chasing what's immediate. Taurus. This is a powerful week for you, but it comes with a level of responsibility that requires you to step fully into yourself. With the sun in your sign, the focus is on you, your identity, your direction, and how you show up in the world. But this isn't about reinvention. It's about ownership. Early in the week, you may feel a heightened awareness of what you want, but also what it's going to take to get there. There can be moments of resistance, especially if something requires effort, change, or stepping outside of your comfort zone. Midweek brings a turning point where you begin to see yourself more clearly, not just your desires but your capabilities. You may feel more confident making decisions or setting boundaries that reflect your true priorities. By the weekend, there's a strong sense of grounding and self-assurance. You're not just thinking about what you want, you're beginning to embody it. This is about aligning your actions with your values in a way that creates long-term stability. Gemini. This week pulls your energy inward, asking you to slow down mentally and emotionally so you can process what's been building beneath the surface. While things may appear quieter externally, there's a lot happening internally. Early in the week, You may feel the need to step back from constant interaction or stimulation. This isn't isolation, it's recalibration. There may be thoughts, realizations, or even unresolved situations that are coming up for review. Midweek brings clarity, often in subtle ways. A realization, a shift in perspective, or a moment where something finally makes sense. You may begin to see what needs to be released or what you've been holding on to that no longer serves you. This is not a week for pushing forward aggressively. It's about preparing yourself for the next phase. By the weekend, you may feel more centered, more aware, and more ready to move forward. But now with intention rather than distraction. This is about clearing space so that what comes next has room to grow. Cancer. This week shifts your focus toward your goals, your future direction, and the people you surround yourself with, but now with a more grounded and realistic lens. Early in the week, you may feel the pull to reconnect with certain aspirations or revisit plans that you've been thinking about for a while. However, this isn't about dreaming. It's about deciding what's actually worth committing to. You may begin to notice where your energy has been scattered, especially when it comes to social connections or long-term goals that don't fully align with who you're becoming. Midweek brings clarity, helping you prioritize what truly supports your growth. This could involve distancing yourself from distractions or simply becoming more selective with your time and energy. By the weekend, there's a stronger sense of alignment. You're not just thinking about the future, you're choosing it step by step. This is about building a vision that is both meaningful and sustainable. Leo, this week brings your attention back to your career, responsibilities, and long-term direction, but now with a deeper sense of accountability. With the energy firmly rooted in Taurus, there's a strong emphasis on consistency, effort, and follow-through. Early in the week, you may feel the weight of expectations, either from others or from yourself. There can be a realization that something you've been working toward requires more commitment than you initially thought. This isn't meant to discourage you, it's meant to ground you. Midweek brings clarity around your priorities, helping you see what truly matters and what needs to be adjusted. You may find yourself taking a more strategic approach, focusing on long-term results rather than immediate recognition. By the weekend, there's a sense of stability and confidence that comes from knowing you're building something real. This is about stepping into a leadership role in your own life, not through force, but through consistency and intention. Virgo, this week encourages expansion, but in a way that's deeply grounded and aligned with your long-term growth. Early in the week, you may feel the desire to move beyond your current situation, whether that's through learning something new, exploring a different perspective, or considering a new direction. However, this isn't about chasing every opportunity that comes your way. The Taurus energy asks you to slow down and evaluate what's actually worth your time and effort. Midweek brings clarity, helping you refine your direction and focus on what truly aligns with your values. This could come through a realization, a conversation, or even a situation that challenges your current way of thinking. By the weekend, you may feel more confident in your path and more willing to commit to something that has long-term potential. This is about turning growth into something tangible, taking what inspires you and building it into something real. Libra, this week takes you into deeper territory, asking you to confront what's beneath the surface, especially when it comes to shared resources, emotional investments, and situations that require trust and honesty. Early in the week, you may feel the weight of something that can't be ignored any longer. This could be financial, emotional, or tied to a dynamic where balance hasn't truly existed. There's a strong pull here to face reality, even if it's uncomfortable. Midweek brings clarity, helping you see not just what needs to change, but how to approach it in a practical and grounded way. You may find yourself setting boundaries, making decisions about shared responsibilities, or reevaluating where your energy is being invested. By the weekend, there's a sense of empowerment. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable, even constructive. This is about transforming something complex into something stable and sustainable. Scorpio. This week places a strong emphasis on your relationships, but now with a focus on stability, commitment, and long-term alignment. With Taurus energy activating your partnership zone, there's no room for surface-level connections. Everything is about what's real and what can actually last. Early in the week, you may feel the need to address something directly, especially if there's been imbalance or uncertainty. Avoidance won't work here. The energy is too steady and persistent. Midweek brings clarity, often through communication or a realization that helps you see where things truly stand. You may find yourself having an important conversation or simply recognizing what you need moving forward. By the weekend, there's a stronger sense of alignment. Whether that means strengthening a connection or making a decision about it, you'll feel more grounded in your position. This is about building relationships that are not just intense but stable and supportive over time. Sagittarius. This week shifts your focus toward your daily life, routines, and overall well-being, but now with a more grounded and disciplined approach. Early in the week, you may begin to notice where things feel out of sync, whether it's your schedule, your habits, or the way you're managing your time and energy. There's a realization that something needs to be adjusted if you want long-term stability. Midweek brings the clarity and motivation to start making those changes. This could involve reorganizing your routine, improving your habits, or addressing something related to your physical or mental health. The key here is consistency, not perfection. By the weekend, you may already begin to feel more balanced and more in control. This is about creating a structure that supports your life rather than working against it, building daily habits that actually sustain you. Capricorn. This week brings a steady, grounded focus to your creativity, self-expression, and personal fulfillment, but now with an emphasis on building something real from it. Early in the week, you may feel inspired or drawn towards something that genuinely excites you, whether it's a creative project, a personal interest, or even a romantic connection. However, this isn't just about enjoyment. It's about commitment. There's a question here of whether you're willing to invest time and energy into what brings you joy, rather than treating it as something secondary. Midweek brings clarity, helping you focus your energy and take something from idea to action. You may begin to take a passion more seriously or recognize the long-term potential in something you've been casually exploring. By the weekend, there's a sense of confidence and stability in what you're creating. This is about building something meaningful from what inspires you, not just chasing fleeting moments of excitement. Aquarius. This week turns your attention inward, focusing on your home, your personal life, and your emotional foundation, but now with a stronger emphasis on stability and long-term security. Early in the week, you may feel the need to slow down or address something that's been lingering beneath the surface. This could be related to your living situation, family dynamics, or simply your need for a sense of grounding. There's an awareness that something needs to be adjusted if you want to feel more secure. Midweek brings clarity, helping you see what needs to change and how to approach it in a practical way. You may find yourself making adjustments to your environment, setting boundaries, or having an important conversation that brings things into focus. By the weekend, there's a noticeable shift. You feel more centered, more grounded, and more at peace in your space. This is about creating a foundation that truly supports you both emotionally and physically. Pisces. This week highlights communication, learning, and your overall mindset, but now with a grounded and intentional approach. Early in the week, you may feel mentally active, but also more selective about what you engage with. You're no longer interested in scattered conversations or distractions. You want clarity and purpose in your interactions. There may also be something you've been thinking about that now requires expression. Midweek brings a turning point, where your thoughts begin to organize themselves, and something that once felt unclear starts to make sense. This could come through a conversation, writing something down, or simply taking the time to process your thoughts. You may also feel more confident speaking your truth, especially in situations where you previously held back. By the weekend, there's a strong sense of mental clarity and direction. This is about turning ideas into something real, communicating with intention, and building understanding that lasts. This week is about commitment, not in a restrictive way but in a grounded, intentional way. The energy is asking you to slow down, focus, and decide what's truly worth your time, your effort, and your energy. Not everything needs to move quickly right now. In fact, the slower pace is what allows something real to take shape. You may notice moments of resistance, especially when something requires consistency or patience. But that's part of the process. This isn't about instant results. It's about building something that lasts. What you choose to invest in now, whether it's a relationship, a goal, or even your own well-being, has the potential to grow into something stable and meaningful over time. By the end of the week, there's a sense of clarity that comes from showing up even in small ways. You begin to see what's working, what isn't, and where your energy is best placed moving forward. This is about aligning your actions with your values and creating a foundation that supports your long-term direction. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this message.